Hello, and welcome to 8-Bit Landfill, where we'll be exploring the hidden dregs of retro console gaming and digging up the weirdest, most obscure and downright worst games we can find. I'm Tom.
I'm Dan.
And today's hot cup of piss is Sunman. So, Dan.
Starting off well, look.
That's not a sun.
He is a man. He's not even a man, he's a cyborg.
Yeah. So, the man is the... No, I believe this could be Sunman. Sunman, John Sunman. By Sunsoft, obviously. This makes total sense.
That's it's their mascot, right?
That is cross-marketing synergy. Okay, let's crack into this. Megaro City, defeat all enemies and save the city.
Whilst glitching.
I think it was changing there.
Oh right, yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so
cool. Wow, this is alright.
Okay, so got some jumping action, punch.
You got punch and jump.
Yep.
Okay.
This is already 1,000 times better than Bible Buffet.
It looks alright. It looks pretty good. I won't record it.
Yep. No, I mean this I can fly and everything.
Holy shit.
Yep. No, this is. I feel like we may have failed on our brief. This is actually okay.
It looks pretty good. He looks a bit like Daredevil, and he's got that kind of mask over his eyes, so like he can't see.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a rip of something? It's a knockoff of a Marvel character of some description? By any chance? I mean, he can fly, so...
Yeah, I'm feeling a heavy DC Marvel-y kind of a vibe. Come on.
Yeah.
What else can I do? I'm dead.
Well, you can't do anything really. I think you can just punch and fly.
I've just come back to life.
Is upfly?
There's not a great deal in the way of HUD here. I can't...
No.
Punch them shits.
I quite like the fly mechanic. I think as far as I know, it's fairly rare.
It seems to be kind of limited. Like, I think you get like a limited amount of fly.
Oh, I see.
Which kind of helps, I think.
There's no bar though, is there?
No, I think it's able to just like float up. Yeah, no, you're right. That's pretty unusual. Oh, I'm quite bad at this. Dead.
That's kind of Mario-esque. Those like little pronged pincer things.
So
this was 1992. Which was
Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
And
I think that year.
No, Sonic. Was it?
I think Sonic 1 came out in like 89 or 90. I think it was like a reasonable gap between the two. I remember Sonic Tuesday was like the day that Sonic 2 was coming out, and on that day, unbelievably, in my school, we came across a hedgehog in the field, and it seemed like it was destined.
Was it blue? It wasn't blue though.
It wasn't blue, and it was not wearing sneakers.
Was it red because it had been like roadkill?
Like it was a completely live hedgehog. It was just a regular hedgehog.
Sweet. That reminds me of a day I went to school in 1993 where I found a small Italian plumber.
I've got to start back from the beginning.
Did you die?
I did die. I feel like we might not get past the first stages. I'll have one more go, then I'll pass the pad.
Okay. It looks pretty hard.
Yeah.
It looks quite intense.
Like I recently downloaded the PSN re-release of Altered Beast. I have no idea why, because that game was fucking terrible to start off with. And it turns out like it's not, like time has not been kind to it like at all.
Is it like a HD remake or anything?
No, it's just the exact same game, and it's fucking terrible. Like it was as bad as it was back then. But like similarly, I downloaded Streets of Rage 2, and that was completely awesome still. Like that game has not like been harmed at all by the time.
I do have some nice memories
great.
of playing Altered Beast.
Yeah, they're false. I'm telling you, I mean, like when you actually get to turn into the beast and like start kind of clearing house, that's kind of fun. But like the attack patterns are brutal. It's completely impossible to avoid damage. I have no idea why I decided to play that again.
I remember the bosses being particularly nuts. Didn't they do a remake of it? I'm sure there was a remake of it.
I don't think I only ever played the Mega Drive version.
Yeah.
But no, so like Streets of Rage 2, like get out there and play it if you can. That game is still fucking awesome.
I always like the dude with the skates.
Yep, I think it's just called Skates.
Skate, yeah.
I think like me and we have another friend called Kier, and we played back through that a couple of years ago, and he forgot there's a bit of when you get to the boss, he gives you offers one of you a deal to betray the other one, but it just means you end up having to fight each other and then fight the final boss, and for some reason Kier hadn't remembered that, so we ended up screwing up like a full 2-hour run of the game, which we had done amazingly. I ended up beating him and then having to beat the boss by myself.
You can use save states though on that, can't you?
On Streets of Rage 2, I have no recollection. We should probably talk about Sunman.
Jeff Sunman.
Jeff Sunman.
Look at him go.
Okay, I feel like this is an elevator level by all but name.
Yeah, it totally is that. Obviously, he can fly, so you don't have to piss around with having an actual elevator involved.
Yeah. Do you have a particular favourite elevator level from anything? Because they are such a recurring trope in video games.
Yeah, I really like the Metal Gear Solid one, which is less an elevator level and more running up the stairs with a machine gun level. Don't know if you ever played that. It's nuts. It's when you just get the FAMAS, the big old machine gun, and you kind of have to just bust up some stairs, and people coming from behind you and in front of you. It's really intense. As Kojima does, it's just a really intense level that's really, really hard to play.
I did enjoy it in MGS4. There was the escaping on the back of a motorbike while shooting stuff.
Oh, I didn't like that.
Really? I thought that was fucking awesome.
I really don't like those on rail sections.
Generally, really I don't. But I remember that was one of the first moments where the PS3 really, really impressed me. Of like, wow, this is some intense stuff. I mean, like MGS4 had its problems, but when it was good, it was terrific.
I loved it. I mean, the bit where you have to hammer the buttons crawling through the radioactive, whatever it is, microwave tunnel, that was pretty amazing. This is good. I'm liking this actually. This level looks a little bit like Sonic 2. It looks like a chemical zone.
No, I don't think this looks too bad. I mean, like I'm getting my ass kicked, but that's just the nature of games in those days. But I mean, for the average of games I played in the era, this seems no worse than a lot of absolute tripe I played.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise that it didn't really come with much of a cachet. Like I'd never heard of this.
Nope.
Sunsoft. Do you know what
Sunsoft? I know the name, but I can't think of a damn thing they've made. It's just one of those icons I remember seeing back of that era.
Cool. We'll look it up and talk
we
about it.
We will look it up later.
But I haven't yet not been able to fly.
Yeah, no, I think I might have been imagining the. I think I just. I think when you get hit, it makes you plummet to the ground again.
Okay.
It does seem pretty difficult to avoid damage, but I mean, you got to remember, like games of this era, they're coming from a point where they were mostly designed to just chew up your loose change.
Yeah.
So.
And just be bastard hard.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people, retrospectively moan about modern games being too easy, but if you had to play through like a modern 20-hour game with that level of hardness, well, every game would be Dark Souls.
Yeah. I mean, you got a lot of people talk about as well, regenerative health and dying doesn't really mean anything. Like these type games, you die, you're back to the start. Right?
Yeah,
that's it. That's you done. And I always had trouble with these type games, and I still do now. Games that I can't get past the first kind of bit of. Yeah. I just never bother playing again. It was too much.
I think like the games of this era that have survived are the ones where they were hard, but you could master the system, and maybe that's the case with this game, and obviously we're not probably going to spend enough time with it to do so, but like the Castlevanias and the Metroids of this world, which I know you're a massive fan of, like those were games where it was possible to get great at those games, like they weren't unfair in their application. And I think that's the difference between the ones that were just just not fun to play because you just couldn't grind through the damn things.
Yeah, no, that's really good. But yeah, Metroid is, as I say, it's one of my favourites.
Yeah,
and it's that whole Metroidvania style of sequence breaking and all of that. I mean, this is very linear, and I think that's the problem that I've got. If I had like multiple paths through the level, it might make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is super basic. I mean, we're being maybe a bit too effusive about it. This is still a pretty bad game, but I mean, we're old enough to remember that this was. Games are standardly as bad as this. This does not seem abhorrently bad.
No, it doesn't, and it doesn't even look that bad.
No, for animations, not too bad.
But then saying that it's 1993, they should have been all right by this point. This was the era of like Mario 3 or whatever, maybe even Mario World.
But this is NES, not SNES.
Yeah, this is NES. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even by then they should have had higher standards. It's hard. I kind of just want to get past these bits though, because I'm getting a bit bored.
It's that goddamn flying section. I think you got to the end of it briefly, and then
the next bit had me done.
Yeah,
there was that bit with the helicopter was fucking.
Yeah, I mean, what the fuck? I mean,
it was just like homing missiles.
It's kind of a miracle that anybody ever completed games of this type. It's just
Jesus Christ.
You had no choice. I mean, like you get one of these games for Christmas, and that's got to do you for 6 months.
Yeah, till your birthday.
Yeah. I mean, luckily my birthday is in July, so it was never more than a 7-month wait. But if you're one of those poor motherfuckers who's born in December, I feel for you.
Mine was February, so I didn't.
That's not great. You've got like a good 10-month wait there for anything. Because, like, as a kid, you have just no economic power whatsoever.
Nope.
You're just completely at the mercy of other people buying you stuff. And then the tragedy of being given a game which you just know is going to be a total piece of shit, and still just having to, smile and say thank you and be the grateful kid.
That's it.
That's a hard task.
But it's like when if a good game sort of came out in March, I'd know that I'd have to wait
that's
nearly
brutal.
a year
That
to
is
play
brutal.
it, which pretty much sucked. But then that was back in the day, I suppose, of like game rental firms, and we could,
Yeah. So
rent
pro
games.
tip: if you want to have happy kids, try and get pregnant in around August, September, because then they're gonna have a nice summer birthday. It gives you 6 months to save up for their presents. Job done.
Yeah. Although I don't know if it's quite like that anymore, is it? Because an iPod game is 49p or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, this game when it came out probably was like 60 quid.
Yeah.
I remember.
Messed up.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2 came out on the SNES. It was $69.99 release, which is just insanity.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when the N64 game, and N64 games were like a clear 30, 40 quid more expensive than like the equivalent PlayStation games, which is like the main reasons my parents would not buy me an N64 despite my protestations. And like they were quite right that, I mean, they could buy me the thing, but when would I be able to afford a £70 game back when 70 quid actually fucking was a decent amount of money, especially for me at that age.
Yeah, I suppose as well, like at that point they had the luxury of being able to like play. Sony had the luxury of being able to release games on CD-ROM, which obviously was far cheaper than Nintendo's rather bespoke kind of cartridge solutions, right?
Yeah, like in the end, my parents were right. The PlayStation 1 was an awesome platform, and not to say, I mean, like the N64 retrospectively, I played some of those games, but they look pretty jank, and I'm not sure it was worth that much of a difference. I mean, there's probably going to be people there screaming at me, if anybody's listening whatsoever, about Ocarina of Time. But I got the Ocarina of Time reissue along with Wind Waker. They kind of put it along in the same box when I had a GameCube. I just couldn't really get into it. Like, I mean, for me, like Wind Waker's the first Zelda I played all the way through, and that'll always have a little special place in my heart.
Was that Ocarina
the Master Sword Edition, whatever it's called?
Was it still N64 graphic? Because I played Ocarina.
Ooh.
I didn't have an N64.
I assume. I mean, it wasn't like up-res, but I think it obviously ran a bit better.
You would be able to tell, because I didn't have an N64, so the first time I played Ocarina was I jumped straight from a SNES to a PS1. And first time I played Ocarina was last year when I got a 3DS.
Oh, that was like a proper redo.
It was a proper redo, yeah. It was really good, really, really good. I mean, before that, I'd played. I kind of moved out of the Nintendo territory at that point. But before that, I mean, Legend of Zelda 3: Link to the Past is probably my favourite game of all time. Like,
I think I played the one on the Game Boy, which name is escaping me now.
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, I played Link's Awakening, and I played like a little bit of one of the SNES ones on my cousins when I'd stay over there. But like the first of the 3D ones I played properly was Wind Waker. And I played about halfway through Ocarina, and I could see totally for its era how that would be amazing. But if you don't have the benefit of nostalgia, it's difficult to play back through something that's so obviously technically defective against its modern cousin and play it with any sort of enthusiasm. Right, I think we've pretty much been ignoring Sunman for a while.
Have, but you know what, I was thinking, no wonder like we're dying on the flying stages, because he flies standing straight up.
Yeah.
How non-aerodynamic can you get? Look, what the fuck's the point of that?
I was going to say, avoiding...
I'm just going to fucking float through the level.
Avoiding damage seems to be difficult. You've got to kill all the enemies, though.
No,
and save the city. It said at the beginning, kill all enemies and save the city.
Yeah, but that's just,
Okay, well,
I think that's just a nice
it won't even let you through if it's...
No, I think it will.
You're still getting your butt kicked.
I know,
you're trying to run through.
I know, it's hard. Maybe it's just this, the modern generation, instant gratification. I don't want to sit there and grind through the level. I don't want to sit there and duck and wait for them to come to me and punch them. I just want to whiz through it.
I mean, like, as you know, I'm like a massive devotee of Spelunky, so I have no problem with hardness, but it has to be like a fair hardness that you can learn your way around. If it's just like you're going to take damage and there's really nothing you can do about it, that's not as entertaining to me. Like, I mean, there's a few times I got through Spelunky with, played through to Olmec and probably only taken 1 or 2 damage throughout the whole thing and end up with 10 lives, which just seemed completely inconceivable when I started playing it. Like, that shit is satisfying.
But like this is ridiculous.
I don't think either of us have got through there without taking damage.
No,
I guess if you're a kid who has no other choice but to play this for 6 months, probably you get good at it.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, it's like the two proper Nintendo hard kind of things I can think of are Battletoads. The surfboard level of Battletoads, if you've ever played that.
I've heard it's notorious
fabled,
for being evil, and apparently like the rest of the game is not that bad. It's just just one horribly, they did not get a handle on the learning curve on that bit, and
which is very similar to the Turtles game, right, for the NES, which I got one Christmas morning. It was fucking brilliant, and obviously I was I don't know 7, maybe 6, 7, loving the Ninja Turtles and all that. and go on, you play. And
Did you get through?
no, I died.
Oh, you died.
And that was much the same. It had one. It was really fun. It had one level that was just rock hard. It was a swimming level as well, which is obviously always the worst type of level. And yeah, it's just hard work.
Yeah, that's kind of a killer when you just get to that bit in a game you otherwise enjoy. That just like the amount of games which I've started and just quit. Like, you know, a couple of hours in, as soon as I got to a part that's kind of annoying me. I always find that's worse with games that I've bought, like second hand or something, so they've only cost me 10, 15, 5, 10 quid or something.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, you don't give a shit about those games. If I buy a game full price, like, you will persist with it because you want to get your money's
Sure,
worth.
yeah.
If it's a game that's like a few years old and...
Yeah.
And you will not really pay any attention to that shit.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's much the problem with downloading games as well. With like, you just if I'm on PSN and I get a game, it'll just sort of sit there on my hard drive. If I go out and buy the disc and I've got the case, I just think, I don't know.
Especially with the free PS Plus games, like a lot of those have been awesome, but I mean I've got a lot of PS Plus games sitting on my PS3 or my Vita. They're just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and I will never play them. Got to go halfway through A Brother, Tale of Two Sons. Yeah.
I like the look at that. I thought it looked pretty good.
It's alright. It's just like the controls are kind of annoying. Other people whose opinion I respect really recommend it to me, but I can't really see myself going back to that. Like Crysis 3, I played for the first few hours of that and then got totally bored.
Oh, you didn't make it through.
Oh no. I feel like this might have to be our last run on Sunman.
Yeah, Jeff Sunman.
Jeff Sunman's letting the side down.
House Dad by day, and shitty superhero by night.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't really have any. He can fly. Okay, give you that.
There doesn't seem to be any other. There's no other powers.
Doesn't have a great deal of stuff.
It's just fly and punch.
Yeah. I mean, I can probably not as hard as him, but I can punch.
Can't fly though.
I can't fly, and he's a fictional video game character, but he could probably still punch harder than me.
Yeah, almost certainly. It's just we're seeing gargoyles on that roof there. I read a story earlier today that in Chicago, like a gargoyle chunk got blown off a roof and like hit a woman on the head and just killed her stone dead.
Jesus.
Bad times.
Fucking hell, that's horrible.
Pro tip: don't get hit on the head by a bit of falling gargoyle.
Yeah, watch out for gargoyles.
Yeah,
Christ.
clearly.
Are they going to go up and fortify the rest of the gargoyles?
I think. Yes.
They're going to have to, aren't they? They can't just let that happen.
You probably shouldn't let that happen. Right, well...
No.
So, what do you think? Do you think this goes back in the landfill?
Yeah, I mean, I would never bother playing this. It's too hard. It's quite good, comparatively to some of the other shit we've been playing, but it's just too hard, isn't it? And it's just not that fun. Once you get over the initial I can fly.
Yeah, this is actually playable.
Yeah.
I think once we got over past the point where it's playable, it's not that great, but the presentation is not too bad considering it's an 8-bit game.
Yeah.
I would say I'm wavering on saying this probably doesn't deserve to go back in the landfill.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying it's not hardcore trash.
It's definitely not as bad as I expected it to be.
Yeah, considering it's about the travails of Jeff Sunman.
Oh, Jeff.
Jeff.
Well, Jeff lives to fight another day.
Yep. Okay, well, you agree with that? You're happy to leave it out of the landfill?
Yeah, let's...
okay, let's take it down CX. That's the whole point of this.
Maybe we can make a couple of quid off it. Oh, jeez.
Okay, well, that's been another episode of 8-Bit Landfill. I've been Tom.
I've been Dan.
And you all have 8 now. Bye.